Hey campers, George here, back in the man cave, looking at some knives. These guys, my favorites. Let's check them out. So these two knives I picked up swap meets. Both of them are Camillus. Now I gotta say that the old vintage older Camillus I really love. The first one I got was an Electricians knife, just like this guy. The handle's different. I really like the handle on the other one, but I just can't walk past the Camillus anymore. I gotta get it. And I have a couple of Electricians knives, not just Camillus. That's later on. And then the other knife is this guy here. See that? It's got that huge sheep's foot. And here they are here. Now, both of them are in pretty good condition. I mean, they're dirty, they're a little rusty. Not a lot of rust, they just need a little polish, basically. And then once that's done, I'll show you my ever-growing electrician knife collection. There's not many, but you know what? It's gathering. And I didn't know just how many people actually made them, and they all are exactly the same. Let's clean these guys up. Because I'm not too old a dog that I can't learn new tricks, I found a good way to clean these up. And I think you saw it last time, and that's using an HB pencil. And all you do is you just rub over and it gets rid of all the buildup, the rust and whatnot. I can't believe how well this works. Now I read up on it and it's all to do with metallurgy. The carbon or whatever they use in an HB pencil is stronger than rust, but not stronger than the steel. So you get rid of the rust without damaging or wearing down any of the steel. So what I do is just where the tang is here, and you can see that? I haven't even wiped it off. Let's give it a wipe. And now you've got a nice good look at the tang stamp there. And, this one just says Camillus, New York. Here's the info. And then we got this guy. Now, this guy's pretty clean. There's very little rust on him. The inside here is pretty dirty in the well there, which is not unusual. This one has a really big bail on it, which is kind of cool. I'm a big bail fan. I think if a knife comes with a bail, it should stay with the knife. And I understand why people took it off. But looking at this blade, okay, it's in pretty good condition. Now, there's some rusty spots here. And I was thinking if I get rust remover, but then I thought, there's not a lot. I wonder if I just use a pencil to do that. And then what I'm going to do is just go over with some really fine grit, wet dry, and just clean it up and then hit it with flits. The problem using fine grit, even with that, you get kind of what I call hot spots, really bright spots versus the rest of the blade. And I found that flits will even it out and just make it more even. And I kind of like that. So I'm going to do that right now with this. And my thinking is, these rust removers you get today, well, the one I really like is all natural. And it's nice to use. And if you have a really bad rusty knife, you can use that. And, there's no issues with using it. A lot of the rust removers have got some really nasty stuff in. You don't want to just toss that down your drain. So there's getting rid of that. And that, I try to avoid. So doing it this way might take a little longer, but there's not a lot of rust on here. This is going to get rid of all the heavy rust. Obviously, you can see the pitting that's left. And basically that's what you get from a rust remover. If I wipe it off, all that heavy rust is gone. Now I'm thinking if I kind of polish it up with the wet dry really fine, I'm talking 1,000 grit or higher, hopefully it'll clean up nicely. Now here's a pretty big piece. Let's see how well that does. Now I've already been over this, but that's a nice big piece to judge how well it's going to do. Right, I'd like to think I'm preserving the planet for my children. I'm not sure if I'm doing that, but makes me feel better. So there you go. Do I want to do it on this? There's no real rust on there. And I'm going to use that 1,000 grit in here, and I'll use some Scotch Brite in there and clean it all up in there. So, okay, I'm going to give it a wipe and let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it definitely helps. Look at that. I mean, this was fairly heavy here, but it does help. So now we go to the shed and play there. Now this guy, he's pretty bad. I'm thinking a quick dip in the nasty, but it's pretty heavy, and it would take me forever with a pencil to really get these down. So I'm going to quickly dip it, and then we can have a look to see if it makes a huge difference what I use. So we're in the shed. It's a little noisy because the electric company is outside trimming trees that are in the way of all the power lines. But hey, what do you do? I have that guy soaking. So what I'm going to do with this guy is he doesn't need a lot of cleanup. And now that I'm talking, the guy is really going crazy with it. Now, I want to just clear something up here. I don't consider this needing to be restored. It needs to be cleaned. Big difference. To me, restoring would be taking it apart, doing it a lot more than just cleaning the blade and getting rid of some rust and shining it up. I've been thinking about that for a while. So just wanted to clear that up. I have a really beat up Cub Scout knife that I want to restore. That means taking it apart. It's in really bad condition. So that's what I would call a restore. This is a cleanup. I got some wet dry. This is 1,000 grit. I find it does a pretty good job. I do have higher than that. Just need a little piece. It is wet dry. Gonna wet it and let's start rubbing down on it. I'll be staying away from this with that. I don't want to take any metal off there. I'll hit it again with a pencil. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on the actual blade. I don't press very hard. All I'm trying to do is get it a little bit more shinier than it is. And hopefully reduce this a little bit so it's not so obvious. You want to be careful with the blade, Joe. One of the reasons I have it pushed down on the table is it doesn't stick up here. I'm not going to catch anything there. I keep it at an angle. I think that's enough there right now. I like to go round and round here. I get a better cleanup on it and then go long ways like this, and just to finish it off, it makes it more consistent. And then a quick run along here. One thing you have to remember is that this is not a locking knife. It doesn't have a lock on it at all. So when you're doing this, be careful. You start pushing on this, and so keep that in mind. You know, I got to say, I don't see a lot of difference between using the pencil and dipping it in the bad stuff. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. Unless it's really bad, I'm going to use the all natural. stuff I normally use. I think I'm just going to order some. So there you go there. That's after the grit, and then I'll flitz it up some. You can see some high and low spots here is what I'm talking about. It's not really that obvious, but it may, like I said, a lot of the stuff I do just makes me feel better. Now we're going to go along here, down here, and we're going to get into here. You got to be careful when you're using any sort of paper on here, because the handles, you want to make sure you're not going to mess up the handles. Let's see how we're doing here. Oh, much better. Look at that. That cleaned up there. Now you got to get all the way around here. Careful the blade. I'm not pressing very hard, so once again, you don't want to be pressing hard. You're just taking off the nasty. Don't want to press hard, and you don't want to go too fast because you don't want to heat this stuff up. I'm going to go lightly over the bolsters. I'm going to go this way because I think the pattern cleaning will be better. And you got to watch that. Let's see how we're doing. I think that's a lot cleaner than it was. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it does look better. A little bit more shine to it. Now I want to work on this. Kind of painful. I was wondering if it was just dark like this because it was dirty, but it's dark. The outside down. Now I've got to work that inside there. And I like to use this guy. Same thing again, just use water on it. And then I just get a screwdriver that'll fit in there. And rub this and whatever else I can get in there and get it cleaned out. Oh yeah, let's look at this guy. Eel. I don't even want to touch this stuff. I've become paranoid since the oops at the cottage. Anything now that looks a little suspect, I don't want to use anymore. Should be wearing gloves. Let me do that. So this guy, you can see, look at those blades. Clean off the nasty stuff with some water. Yeah, let's try this again. There we go. One thing I do like is these brass liners on this one. On this one, they're steel. But this just is so much cooler. Okay, we've got most of the really bad rust and patina. Now, 1000 grit. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Wow, that's not good. That's very bad. How did that happen? All right, something else to look into. This might just turn into a restore. Wow. That's why that thing was like that. You're going to have to tighten that up. See that? Get that again. Wow. That is why most people will take off the bail, because that happens with the blade as well, hitting that, and of course you mess up your blade. But if you pay attention, like I didn't, that shouldn't happen. All right, so he's all shined up. Now they both need some flits, so we'll be doing that. And okay, here they are, cleaned up, a little shinier, and I do like the way the brass looks. This guy needs some work. This guy's good. We need to sharpen them. We're going to polish them, and then we should be good. Okay, back in the man cave. So what I want to do is I want to clean up this guy. I've got to flitz him, clean it up, give him a clean up, and then he's done. This guy, the same thing, but I have to fix the wobble issue and the lock. The problem with this is that the lock locks the tool, not the blade. And it's got a bit of movement there, but the problem is this. See that? And if you look, the lock is on the other side. It should be on this side. So it should be like that and close. Watch the bail. So that's a problem. But I think it is the wobble. Once I fix the wobble, I think that the lock will be perfect. So I want to fix the wobble on this one and then clean it up. But let's get this one done. As you can see, the boss is in the office, checking up, making sure everything's safe. Pretty sure she'll take a nap. So we're going to flitz this guy and then clean just give this a bit of a shine. So let's do that right now. So there you are there. Just needs to be sharpened. Okay, so now we have this guy. If you look carefully here, I don't know if you can see that, there's a huge gap here. So that's a problem. You can see it there. So we got to fix that gap and tighten everything up. You can see the wobble on the knife. They're not even snapping. And this one especially has a lot of wobble. So the problem is this pin. I'm going to try something quickly just by putting it in the vise and squeezing it. See if that'll help. I really don't want to be tapping on it. I'm hoping that's going to work. So like I said, the first thing I want to try is see if I can squeeze it. I really am not sure if that's going to work. Ideally, you want to tap those. But yeah, I'm worried about damaging it. Oh, something popped there. If you look, this was flush. Now it's popped out a little bit. And it's come together. So maybe I can just tap that in. But I'm going to give it one more little squeeze, just to be sure. Yeah, I think we're maxed out there. Definitely went in. So now we got to tap it. So now we're going to use this area here. So. You can see the half stop there works, and there it clicks in really well. You can see right there, but we got no snap down there. Maybe a little bit of oiling. Maybe some oil and working it a bit might work. Really nervous about tapping these things, but I wanted to get these smooth again. I'll work it a little bit here. Oh, now these are actually sticking up now. I tapped it a couple of times and it's a little tighter, but I'm worried about losing the snap. But now I can feel the pins here. And yeah, I got to get rid of that because they're scratchy. So I'm going to try. Okay, I think we are almost there. I think the oil just needs to get in there and do its thing. But I suspect that's dirt. But it's a lot better than it was. So there he is then. Hopefully you can see that. Clean up pretty good. He was well used. If you look at the blade, it got a lot of use. But it cleaned up nicely, and they didn't really mess up the actual shape of the blade. Well, not much. This one doesn't really need any sharpening. So it cuts pretty good. So I think he's good. I like this knife, this sheep's foot. It's a big old healthy one. Look at this. Now this guy is about as dull as you can get. Here is the sheep's foot. It's kind of hard to see, but it is a Camillus. You can see it there. Very popular. I believe these were made, if I remember, the knife doctor sent me a picture. I'll put it up here. That shows this guy as merchant marine during World War II. Now, I don't know if this guy was. I need to look it up. So there you go. Very nice. It was in pretty good condition. There you go. Another Camillus for my collection. So there's that one. And then this guy, which actually needed some work. Was loose, flopping all over. So we got rid of the gap. We tapped it in, cleaned it up. This one was well used. It cleaned up fine though. It cleaned up very good. What I like about this guy, you can see the stops and you can see how the lock is right in there. So to release it, you have to pull this all the way in and down. Like I was saying, what I liked about this guy is the brass liners. I like that. It really brings it out in a knife like this. Another Camillus for my collection. Speaking of which, this is the first one I ever got. And this is a, Electricians knife. See it there? Is in the handles. You can see they're pretty much the same thing, just the handles are different. I really like an electrician's knife. I like the idea of what it's used for and why it was designed that way. And then we have this guy. Nice big crunching hawk bill. There was a little beat up. I just reshaped it. I like this knife. One of the reasons is it is the short line, and what they mean by that is the line underneath calamus there doesn't run the length of the word, which means it's older, a lot older, just like that. And you know, they all have that lock. This one obviously doesn't have it's not Electricians, but it has this hawk grip, and you're going to be doing things with it, cutting rope and that sort of thing. You want to lock it, so nice. Gotta love it. So there you go. Those are my 4 bigger folding Camilluses. I do have a little one, but now it's starting to grow. I have 4. I'm all excited. The other thing is that's starting to grow in my collection. Look at that. 4 Electricians knives. And these 2 obviously are the Camillus. This one here, which I picked up the other day, M. Klein and Sons, which is pretty well known out of Chicago. It needs to be cleaned up. I need to clean it up. But yep, it is. It's an electrician's knife. The wonderful thing is that they all look similar. And this is from another knife maker that I like. They do a good job. Their stuff is really clean. That is Cutmaster. And you can see here. Beautiful. You know, my bad. I've got so many of them I've forgotten. We have this guy. And this is a Craftsman electrician's knife. And I forgot all about, well, I didn't forget about it. I was wondering where it was. I just went and got it. And this guy, which was given to me by Big Mike in LA when we went fishing together at the beach. He gave me this guy. And yeah, it's a Colonial. Great one. It's probably one of the better ones. Look at that. Beautiful knife. And he gave it to me. So that tells me I now have, yep, count them, 6 electrician's knives. And I love them all equally. No favorite. I lie. There's a favorite. I really like this guy. It's white. I like that. I like the white handle on it. Well, I want, you know, it looks old and that. But it's very nice. And that's the one Mike gave me. Next in line, this guy was given to me. So my electrician collection grows. Very excited about that. I did make a sheath, by the way, for my... So there you go. My little collections, all giddy about them. They're coming together really nicely. I really like the idea of the electrician knife collection, probably even more than the Camillus collection. You all be safe out there, especially when using these work knives like the electrician knives and whatnot. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. The boss is refusing to give up the seat. Huh. Napped through the whole movie. Thanks for watching. Always appreciated. See you again.